and welcome to the holiday edition of Obesity Matters support meeting, where you matter the absolute most. And I cannot tell you how much I've been enjoying these support meetings, because everyone comes and you're so open and you're so vulnerable. And I love hearing about your journey. And so the more that you can share, I just want you to know that you're helping other people, because so often we think that we're alone in our problems, but the truth is we are more similar than we are different. So welcome everybody. This is it. We're at the finish line for 2024. We're just about to hit a holiday season, which brings its own joys and challenges and busyness. So today, during this time where many of us think about, what am I going to give? My to-do list of people that I have to buy gifts for. And the truth is, for a lot of us, we're really buying more stuff for people who have more than enough stuff, right? Like, isn't that always the big question? What am I going to get so-and-so? They've got everything. What could I possibly give them? And I want you for a moment to consider that the greatest gift you can give your loved ones, your family members, your parents, your children, your siblings, your closest friends, the greatest gift you can give them is your own health, your own happiness, and your own fulfillment. Now, just to have this point hit home, I want you to think back to when you were a small child and you were growing up in your home. And what we know is that if you struggle with elevated weight, if you struggle with obesity, there is likely a chance that you grew up in a home that maybe there was abuse, maybe there was neglect. Most certainly there was dysfunction. I don't think there's any family on the planet that doesn't have some degree of dysfunction. So if you were one of those kids who grew up in a home with maybe chaos, abuse, neglect, if you're one of those kids like me, because that's certainly the way I would describe my childhood, I want you for a moment to consider, if your parents had made their health, their happiness, and their fulfillment a priority, how would that have changed your childhood? How would that have changed who you became in this world? How would that have changed the trajectory of your life? I want you to really sink in with a moment with that, right? If you had anybody in your life who hurt you in any way, imagine if they had spent time making sure that they were well. How could they have shown up for you when you were a small child and needed that guidance and that love and that protection? So once we understand it in that way, then we can begin to understand, yes, the greatest gift that I can give. When I think about my daughter, and I'm a single mommy, and let me tell you, I get pushback on this comment all the time. I have to make my health, my happiness, my fulfillment a priority. Otherwise, I'm going to repeat history, and I don't want to repeat history for my daughter. And so people might see this as selfish. And it's very interesting to me, and a lot of my clients struggle with this, and let me know if you struggle with this, that when they do try to put their health or self-care a priority, other family members call them selfish. And I want you to consider for a moment, so this person who's calling you selfish is saying, how dare you put your needs ahead of mine, but you're the selfish one. But in essence, they're saying, please don't take care of yourself, because that's going to inconvenience me, and then you're not going to be able to focus on me. So who's the selfish one in that equation? But I want you not to look at it as selfishness. I really want you to look at it as a gift. You've been a part of this wellness group for a while, so I would love to hear any success that you may be experiencing, anything that you do differently. And it is incredibly important to celebrate your successes, because we all think that change is this huge transformation that happens one day, when in fact, change happens by little tiny steps forward, all the small successes. And we have to start recognizing those small successes. It retrains our brain to see that we are getting better, that we are strong, that we are capable. Because sometimes if you've struggled with your weight or your eating for years or decades like me, it does chip away at your self-esteem, and it starts to change how you see yourself. So I always say, look for the successes and then celebrate them. So I'm here to hear about your successes. The floor is now open.
Morning, everyone. I just wanted to share a win that everyone might be able to relate to this time of year, because for me on my journey, a big challenge was staying active. And for me, I have a really bad knees and a really bad back and all that kind of stuff. So walking is all I can do. That's the end of the story for me at the stage of life, right? I'm 60 years old and I played, competitive sports. So I'm pretty crippled up and broken that way. So you do what you can, right? So all of us can walk. And sometimes it was, I started at like 25 steps and now I walk 5 kilometers. It's that kind of a story.
You know what's so interesting? I think that's the human condition. If I had asked the question, do you guys want to tell me how you messed up this month? I can promise you everyone would be like, boom, oh, I know. Like they would have a list. They would tell me 10 ways that they messed up, right? And so many of us as humans, we have a success and we probably celebrate it for 3 seconds. Oh, look at that, I did it. Yay, oh, that was a nice feel. And then we move on. And then when we make a mistake or we mess up, we spend a ton of time on that, right? Think about the last time you made a really big mistake. Did you only spend 3 seconds contemplating it? Probably not. You probably lost sleep over it. You wasted hours thinking about it. You ruminated on it. You analyzed it, right? You cemented into who you are. Gosh, how was I so stupid? But we don't do that for our success. And so I always challenge my clients, how much time, energy, and rumination you put into your mistakes. I want you to give the same time, energy, and rumination and analysis for your successes, right? So taking the time to say, well, what does that mean about me that I have arthritis and I walked 100 kilometers, like daily, 3 kilometers. And that's not small. I love that idea of just if it's not a peaceful food for you, if it's not a safe food for you, why would you bring it into your home? And for everybody listening, I really want you to consider if giving chocolate and giving cookies is a gift of love. I want you to really consider that sometimes when we give those kinds of presents, we may not be helping that person. So we all have an inner saboteur. We all have an inner critic. I hear this so much even in my own programs where people are giving up, let's say, their trigger foods, right? So a trigger food is a food that you obsess about. Once you start, it's hard to have a reasonable portion. Trigger foods sometimes lead to overeating episodes, and they'll say, oh, Sandra, I'm doing so well. Yeah, but it's just week 2. Yeah, but this isn't gonna last. The success could be, I went to the gym or worked out 3 times this week. Yeah, but this week I only went twice, so it's not really,
I was just gonna say, back to the but something that I'm starting to do with my own speaking is I say and. I get down on myself about something that I've done or not done, and I say, and I did do such and such and such and such. Last week I didn't get out walking, and I did get some things made that I wanted to get made. It's trying to find the yes to the no's has been working well for me. I don't know if it will work for others.
You know what? That is such a powerful statement. And, right? Even in an argument, right? Someone could say, you were late again. Yes, I was late. And I stopped to get vegetables for the dinner. See? Not, yeah, but. The other thing that you can do with that inner saboteur that says, yeah, but, is how would you speak to somebody that you adore, that you absolutely adore? So answering the yeah, buts as if you adore that person. So maybe you say, I went for a walk 3 times this week, right? And they go, yeah, but last week you only went once. What would you just say to somebody that you love and adore? You know what? At least I got out there. You know what? Be proud of yourself for what you accomplished. So answer that voice, answer it with love and kindness. And that's it. So I want to wish everybody a beautiful holiday season filled with laughter and peace and love, and know that you are the creator of your holiday season, and that the greatest gift you can give everyone in your life is to have your own health, your own happiness, and your own fulfillment. Put that at the forefront of your mind as you go through the holiday season. So we'll see you in 2025, everybody. Thanks again.